There's no comparison that I can find on the women's side, and I've been in this league since the very beginning. We haven't seen a player drive ticket sales like this.
As a baller to a baller, I just want to say thank you to you, Caitlin Clark.
Absolutely.
For just lifting our game up.
Hey, have you ever seen a rookie come into the WNBA and just take over? I'm talking about setting records left and right, making legends of the game sit up and take notice. That's exactly what Caitlin Clark did this season. Let's talk about how she silenced her haters and why 10 WNBA legends are saying she's in a league of her own. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now back to the video. Picture this, Caitlin Clark's first WNBA game. The arena is buzzing like a rock concert. Fans are packed in, cameras flashing, everyone holding their breath. And then, boom, Clark drops 20 points just like that. But here's the thing, she also had 10 turnovers. Yeah, not everything was perfect. But you know what's crazy? That rocky start? It was just the beginning. Clark was about to go on a wild ride, breaking records and turning heads. Legends of the game couldn't look away. And the best part? We're just getting started. You won't believe what she did next. Remember that shaky start with 10 turnovers? Well, guess what? Clark ended up leading the league in turnovers for the season. But here's the twist. She also set a mind-blowing number of records along the way. How's that for a rookie paradox? You know how some rookies take time to adjust? Clark didn't just adjust, she rewrote the record books. Let's talk about her three-point shooting. 88 threes as a rookie. That's not just good, it's record-breaking. She smashed the previous rookie record set by Ryan Howard. And we're just getting started. Now let's talk scoring. Clark racked up 769 points in her rookie season. You know what's crazy? That crushed a record that stood for 18 years. Simone Augustus held it with 744 points back in 2006. Clark came in and said, "Thanks for keeping my record warm." But Clark isn't just about scoring. Her passing game, off the charts. On July 17, 2024, she dished out 19 assists against the Dallas Wings. That's a WNBA single-game record.
We can start with what Caitlin Clark has done as a rookie, getting triple-doubles, the assist numbers that she's had.
There's no comparison that I can find on the women's side, and I've been in this league since the very beginning. We haven't seen a player drive ticket sales like this.
Imagine being so good at passing that you break a record held by some of the greatest players in the game's history, and we're not done yet. On July 6, 2024, Clark did something no rookie had ever done before. She recorded a triple-double against the New York Liberty, first rookie ever. Let that sink in. She's out there making history every time she steps on the court. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. While Clark was breaking all these records, she was also leading the league in turnovers, 164 of them. But you know what? That just shows she's human. She's still growing, still learning the game at the pro level. Think about it like this. Clark had 21 games where she scored at least 15 points and dished out 5 assists. That's the most such games in a single WNBA season. Ever. So yeah, she's turning the ball over, but she's also creating more opportunities than anyone else. And check this out. Clark became the first rookie to put up 400 points, 100 rebounds, and 150 assists in a single season. That's not just good for a rookie, that's good for anyone. She's not just playing the game, she's redefining it. So yeah, Clark's rookie season was a wild ride. She came in with a bang, dropped 20 points in her first game, but she also had those 10 turnovers. Most ever for a player in their first WNBA game. But you know what? That just set the stage for what was to come. Because here's the thing about Clark. She doesn't just play the game, she changes it. She's not content with being good. She wants to be great. And she's willing to take risks, to push herself, to make mistakes if that's what it takes to get there. Clark's willingness to take risks paid off big time, but it came with a price. Her turnover count had critics sharpening their knives. But here's the kicker. What if those turnovers were actually a sign of something extraordinary brewing? You see, while some folks were busy counting Clark's mistakes, she was busy making history. The critics said her college game wouldn't translate to the pros. They said she couldn't handle the pressure. But Clark, she just kept playing her game, fearless and focused. Remember how Clark led the league in turnovers? Well, that's just part of the story. She was out there taking risks, pushing boundaries, and guess what? It worked. She didn't just play it safe, she played to win.
As a baller to a baller, I just want to say thank you to you, Caitlin Clark.
Absolutely.
For just lifting our game up.
NBA schedule, which factors into some of those records being broken, but that's okay. Like, all we want is more games.
And when she did. Let's talk about how Clark responded to those critics. There was this game against the Chicago Sky where she had a rough first half, turnovers, missed shots, the works, but in the second half, Clark exploded. She dropped 30 points, dished out 8 assists, and led her team to a comeback victory. That's the kind of resilience that silences critics. And it wasn't just one game. Clark kept showing up game after game, proving she could handle the pressure. Kelsey Plum, one of the league's top players, noticed. She said Clark doesn't shy away from big moments. That's huge coming from a player like Plum. But here's where it gets really interesting. Clark isn't just scoring points and racking up assists. She's changing the way the game is played. Candace Parker, another WNBA legend, said something that really sums it up. You have to guard her when she steps into the gym. Think about that for a second. Most players, you start guarding them when the game starts. But Clark? Teams have to plan for her before she even touches the ball. That's not just talent, that's game-changing presence. And you know what's wild? Clark is doing all this as a rookie. She's not just holding her own against seasoned pros, she's outplaying them. She's breaking records that have stood for years, and she's doing it with a target on her back. Every game, every team knows Clark is the one to stop, and yet she keeps finding ways to score, to create plays, to make her teammates better. That's not just skill, that's basketball IQ. That's the kind of player who doesn't just play the game, but evolves it. So yeah, Clark had her share of turnovers, but for every mistake, she had a dozen brilliant plays. She didn't let the criticism get to her. Instead, she used it as fuel. Every doubter became motivation. Every critic became a reason to work harder, play smarter, push further. Clark's relentless drive impressed fans and silenced haters. But there was another group watching her every move. What made some of the greatest players in WNBA history sit up and take notice of this rookie phenom? You know how legends usually stay quiet about rookies? Well, not this time. Caitlin Clark's rookie season was so incredible that even the WNBA's biggest names couldn't help but speak up. We're talking about players who've seen it all, done it all, and they're blown away by Clark. Let's start with Sheryl Swoopes. She's a legend, right? 4-time WNBA champion, 3-time MVP. When she talks, you listen. And she's not just talking about Clark, she's praising her.
So I don't have any hard feelings towards Caitlin. My thing is when you put these expectations on these young women in college to go to the next level and be immediately dominant. And when that doesn't happen...
Swoopes is impressed by how Clark's dominating as a rookie. That's huge coming from someone who knows what it takes to dominate in this league. But wait, it gets better. Becky Hammond, a 6-time All-Star and 2-time champion, she's watching Clark every chance she gets. Hammond said, "I think she's amazing. I watched every time I possibly could." Imagine that, a player who's accomplished so much in her career and she's glued to the screen watching a rookie. Now here's where it gets really interesting. Rebecca Lobo, Hall of Famer, she's not just praising Clark, she's advocating for her to be named first-team All-WNBA. As a rookie.
To see Caitlin surrounded by the players that are already on the Indiana team because, her vision is next level.
Caitlin Clark is changing the game. She has thanked her for bringing light to the sport of women's basketball.
That's like saying Clark isn't just good for a first-year player, she's one of the best in the entire league. Lobo's pointing out how Clark averaged 19 points and led the league in assists per game. That's not rookie numbers, that's superstar numbers. But it's not just about the stats. Sabrina Ionescu, one of the brightest young stars in the WNBA, she's talking about how Clark is changing the game off the court too. Ionescu's excited about how Clark is selling out arenas. She says Clark is changing the game of basketball and having a big impact on WNBA attendance. That's more than just playing well, that's growing the entire sport. And we're not done yet. Cynthia Cooper, another legend of the game, she's calling Clark the future of basketball. Cooper's praising Clark's craftiness, her multi-dimensional game. She says she's not just a three-point shooter, she's a great passer. That's coming from someone who knows a thing or two about being a great all-around player. You know who else is impressed? Candace Parker. She's a two-time WNBA champion, two-time MVP. Parker's talking about the star power Clark brings to women's basketball. She says, "You have to guard her when she steps into the gym." Think about that. Most players, you start guarding them when the game starts. But Clark, teams have to plan for her before she even touches the ball. So what does all this mean? It's not just that Clark had a great rookie season, it's that she's doing things that are making the greatest players in WNBA history take notice. These aren't just compliments, they're acknowledgments that Clark is changing the game. And here's the thing, this isn't just about Clark, it's about what she represents for the future of the WNBA. When legends of the game are this excited about a rookie, you know something special is happening. Clark isn't just playing well, she's elevating the entire sport. Caitlin Clark's journey from criticized rookie to game changer is wild. She didn't just silence doubters, she made legends of the game sit up and take notice.
It has been in the WCAST. A historic season in terms of viewership, numbers, attendance, and then so many different records being smashed.
And get this, she's not just changing the game on the court, she's changing it off the court too. And then, you know how sometimes people say a player is must-see TV? Well, Clark is taking that to a whole new level. Her team, the Indiana Fever, has been on national TV 36 times this season. That's insane. It's like every time she plays, everyone wants to watch. But here's the thing, Clark isn't just racking up personal achievements, she's elevating the entire sport of women's basketball. Her games are like Taylor Swift concerts, drawing massive crowds and crazy excitement. She's not just a great player, she's a cultural phenomenon, and she's just getting started.